Welcome to Leader Lifestyle Hub. As we have set the target of completing 200 book summaries in the entire year, here comes the book number 139. The name of the book that we have today is What Happened to You? Welcome to Leader Life. Written by Oprah Winfrey. Without any delay, let us see the top 3 lessons and the target audience of this book. What happened to you? Written by Oprah Winfrey. Before going further, let us see the author information. You might have already heard her name, Oprah Winfrey. She is an American talk show host, a television producer, actress, author, and media proprietor. She is famous for the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she is from Chicago. And her writings of other books are What Happened to You, Build the Life You Want, What I Know for Sure, The Path Made Clear, and Mr. or Mrs. Just Right. So these are all the other collections of her. Let us see the target audience of this book. The 38-year-old who has experienced great trauma throughout their lives. The 64-year-old who wants to help their children get through their mental health struggles, and anyone who wants to learn how to get through the difficulties of life. Let us see the small synopsis. What Happened to You is Oprah's look into the trauma, including how traumatic experiences affect our brains. So whenever you go through any trauma situations, how it will affect our brains throughout our lives, what they mean about the way we handle the stress, and why we need to see it as both a problem with our society and our brains if we want to get through it. Have you ever wondered why you react in a certain way to some situations? Or why you can't kick a bad habit? Instead of asking ourselves, what is wrong with me? We should shift the question to what happened to me. Trauma is difficult to address, but it can affect us for years. Experiencing abuse or neglect as a child can change how we respond to stress as an adult. Let me repeat this statement. As a child, if you are experiencing either abuse or if you are experiencing the neglect, it will affect as an adult how to respond on the stress. Oprah never disappoints. She is inspiring and motivational because she is so vulnerable with her own experiences, but she is also really smart. I highly recommend to check out What Happened to You if you want to come out of the traumatic experiences. In this book, Conversations on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing, Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey explore why and how trauma might be influencing our behavior. In fact, Oprah herself is a trauma survivor. This book is about addressing it, the real life experience of Oprah, head on, and learning to heal. Let us see the top 3 lessons. Here are the 3 of the most insightful lessons from this book. What we experience during childhood has a profound effect on our brain as an adult. Whatever the childhood experiences are there, it has the profound effect on the brain. We can learn positive regulation strategies later in life to help us deal with the trauma. It is possible to overcome trauma with the right support. Let us get right into the powerful lessons and learn from the Oprah Winfrey herself. Lesson number 1. Our brains are uniquely shaped by the experiences that we have during childhood. Early on in Oprah's life, she remembers feeling intensely lonely. In the childhood of Oprah, she felt lonely. She knew that she was not wanted. Her mom was only a teenager when she had her, and she did not have the resources to care for her adequately. Most of her childhood was spent with the various family members, many of whom neglected and beat Oprah regularly. This was the childhood of the Oprah. These early experiences shaped how she saw the world as well as herself, because experiences like this literally change the brain. A baby's brain develops at a rate of 20,000 new neurons per second. Let me repeat this powerful statement. A baby's brain develops at a rate of 20,000 new neurons per second. Every second, the brain will develop 20,000 new neurons. Every single experience a child has is logged in a personal code book in the brain, like a Facebook, how you are able to store the data. In the same way, your child brain also you able to store all the neurons in a second in the code book. Later on, these experiences can manifest themselves but cannot be understood in a rational way. Let us see an example. An example of this is a child. The authors called Sam. Sam was physically abused by his father and was removed by Child Protective Services. Once Sam moved into a group home and received the support he needed, he was doing well and progressing. However, once he got a new teacher, he started acting out at school. Everyone was puzzled as to why until Dr. Perry met Sam's father. He wore a strong Old Spice cologne, the very same scent Sam's teacher wore. Suddenly, it clicked. The aroma of the cologne was triggering old and terrifying memories of Sam. So initially, the aroma of the Old Spice cologne that was worn by his father is same aroma that his teacher wearing. Once the teacher changed the cologne, the behavior stopped. So if we want to understand the trauma, we need to ask what happened to you, especially when you were very young. Ask yourself what happened to you when you were young and find out the experiences of your childhood memories. Let us see the lesson number 2. Learning regulation strategies can help you heal from trauma. Early in her career as a journalist, Oprah often worked 100-hour weeks and was always exhausted. Every week, Oprah Winfrey will work for 100 hours. Generally, we work for 40 hours, but she worked for 100 hours. She ignored the signals her body sent to tell her something was wrong. Why? The abuse in her past had trained her to be a people pleaser. This meant ignoring her own boundaries and working to meet everyone else's needs instead. She turned to food for comfort. What helps us not to ignore the signals when we are out of balance? Positive regulation strategies. Everyone's brain has a self-regulation system of core regulatory networks, or CRNs in short. So everyone's brain has a self-regulatory system of CRNs. Their purpose is to keep us balanced. When a caregiver responds consistently to a baby's needs, his CRNs becomes resilient and a child becomes able to regulate himself as he becomes elder. But if the caregivers are neglectful or abusive, the child's CRN become impaired, as also known as dysregulated. This makes the child's stress responses become sensitized, meaning he will always be looking out for threats and panic easily. Neglectful caregivers make a child associate people with disappointment, meaning they struggle to build and maintain human connections. If you are struggling with connecting with the strangers right now, there might be some incidents happen in your childhood where your parents or your caregivers are neglectful on you. Ergo, they are more vulnerable to addiction, whether it may be drugs, alcohol, self-harm, or eating disorders, all temporary reliefs from distress. To stop this, we must identify the stress signals in our body. For Oprah, this meant creating healthy boundaries and learning to be okay with saying no. It's never too late to learn these positive regulation strategies and regain the balance. So learn regulation strategies which can help you from trauma. Let us see the third powerful lesson. With the right support, we can overcome the traumatic experiences of our past. Did you know that almost half of our all children living in the US have had some sort of serious traumatic experience in their life? For adults, 60% report experiencing at least one traumatic incident per every second. We know how these affect the brain, but now imagine the effect these experiences have on our larger communities when so many of us had trauma. So many of us are living with the synthesized stress responses. Is it really any wonder we see people act out of in violence? Or is it any wonder we see people act in intolerance? Should we be surprised when adults are unable to teach their children how to regulate themselves? People like to think that kids are resilient and can recover from the trauma and abuse, but this simply is not the case. They are still affected by trauma, even if you cannot see it. This type of stress can mean they might have trouble focusing or their health might deteriorate. What these kids need is support. Not just immediately after the trauma, but even into their adulthood. Those kids who are not behaving good in the adulthood, try to find out their childhood memories and try to heal them with the support. They need support from the professionals who understand a traumatized brain. But perhaps most important of all is that they need support from the communities around them. All of us need support from people around us to heal, whether it may be schools, whether it may be workplaces, or whether it may be places of worship, which we need to help the people around them who have survived trauma. With the right support, we can learn how to heal and how to help others do the same. So always remember how to heal yourself. We experience each and every moment with the help of childhood memories. And remember, a baby's brain develop at a rate of 20,000 neurons per second. That means it is very fast to grab any information as a child. Whether you are making a wonderful kid or whether you are making a kid of negligence or ignorance, it's all depends on the childhood. So each and every memory that you are given to your child will affect how he or she will become in the adult, how they are becoming balanced in the future. So learn the positive regulation strategies so that they can help us deal with the trauma. And finally, find out the right support from the school, workplaces, and professionals. And I want to repeat that self-regulation system that everyone's brain have, which is nothing but CRN, which is core regulatory networks. So work on the CRNs of the child by making them aware and by making yourself aware of your kid. Okay. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow in another book summary. Until then, seek the right support and find out your childhood experiences of yours. In your childhood, what were the experiences and what were the current traumas that you are feeling through? Just go back to your life, childhood. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing. See you tomorrow with another book summary. Until then, share your